Hello, I'm Joe Walensky, and I'm the program manager for Seattle's annual user experience conference called ConveyUX. That's coming up February 27, 28, and March 1. And once again, I get to speak to one of our great presenters. I'm hanging out at my home office today, actually my home on Vashon Island near Seattle, and I'm speaking with Peter Morville. Hello, Peter. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where we are in the grip of the polar vortex. So it's cold but sunny today.
Well, it's kind of an amazing weather story to start out the year with. The idea that people in that part of the country in the winter actually have to talk about how severe it is. But it's good to have you involved with the conference, and we'll talk about the things that you're going to be doing for the attendees. But why don't we just start with you talking a little bit about your background and the types of things that you're involved with now.
Sure. So my academic background, going way back to the early 1990s, is in library and information science. I was one of those crazy librarians who fell in love with the internet. So around about 1994, I began working with Lou Rosenfeld to help define what became known as the field of information architecture. So we grew a company in the 1990s and then closed it in Y2K. And since then, I've been an independent consultant focusing on information architecture and user experience, and doing a lot of speaking and writing along the way.
Well, you mentioned your writing, and so your information architecture was certainly a great publication for a lot of us as we got involved with this profession. But I know you're working on a new book, so why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been working for almost a year now on a new book called Planning for Everything. The subtitle is the Design of Paths and Goals. And in one sense, it's a reframing of information architecture, a recognition that the work we do in user experience is about planning, helping organizations to plan their digital and cross-channel experiences. But also, this is the first book I've written for a general audience, and thus the title, Planning for Everything. My stretch goal is that a parent will hand this book to their teenager and say, you need to read this book so you can get better at planning for your schoolwork, planning to get into college, and that people will use it for everything from planning vacations to weddings to retirement.
Well, I'm sure that it'll be a great read, and we'll add information about that on our conference website as soon as that's available. But also, I want to talk about the sessions that you're going to be doing at the conference, and you're actually going to be involved in a lot of things for us. But why don't we start with your feature presentation that you're going to be doing for the whole assembly, the architecture of understanding.
Yeah, so that's a talk that basically links together the information architecture work I do with the series of books I've written, from the Polar Bear book to ambient findability to search patterns to intertwingled to this latest book. One way to think about it is it's a description of the evolution of information architecture from its sort of birth in the early days of websites through social and mobile into sort of cross-channel user experiences, and now looking forward at how we can use some of those same principles, but kind of thinking about this perspective of planning. So the architecture of understanding is a talk that goes all over the place. It's kind of a fun journey, and hopefully will kind of inspire people as we sort of move forward in this new year.
Well, we'll have that session leading off the activities on the second day of the event. The first day, the Tuesday, is all about workshops. We have a lot of half-day workshops available, which are included with the one single conference price. So everybody gets an opportunity to participate in those, and you're going to be hosting one of those, and your workshop is titled Planning for Strategic Design. So what can people expect to learn from that?
Yeah, so this workshop builds upon the framework that I defined in my new book. I described 4 principles and 6 practices that can help people become better at planning. The workshop takes that and focuses it in on the work that we do in user experience and service design, in user experience. And so what's exciting is this creates an opportunity to be kind of inspired and provoked by a new framework for planning, but then to work together with the other workshop participants to begin thinking through in a collaborative way, how might we use these principles and practices to wrangle with the problems and the challenges that we're dealing with in our work environments today. And this is a new workshop that I just I tried out a couple of times last year in sort of draft form, and I can honestly say I've never been more excited about a workshop that I've done in all the years I've been in this business. So I'm super excited to offer this workshop at ConveyUX and to kind of get folks planning together and sort of see what we come up with.
Well, we're looking forward to having you participate in that, and so that's going to be leading off things on the first day of the conference as one of the many workshops that we have available. And then you've graciously offered to participate on the panel that we have in the evening for our annual Puget Sound UX Super Meetup, which is where we invite all of the different community groups to participate, whether or not they're registered for the conference. They don't have to be, although all conference registrants are welcome to participate. And in that panel discussion led by Corey Lebson is going to talk about a lot of things in terms of the evolution of careers and user experience. So thanks for offering to participate in that. And just kind of as final thoughts, any last things that you're working on or that you might want to talk about?
Well, I've actually set a very ambitious goal of getting this book, Planning for Everything, published and available on Amazon in time for ConveyUX. So I'm going to be working real hard the next several weeks. And if things go well, if things go as planned, I'll have a copy of that book in my hand when I show up there.
All right, great. Well, that'll be a fun milestone if that works out. So we'll look forward to that. So thanks for taking the time to talk with me today, and we'll see you in just a few weeks.
Yep. Thank you, and look forward to seeing you soon.